Hello, I'm JW. This time I have an item from China, and it's this thing in the box here. It's an LPT200, and essentially this is a power meter, and it's designed with the attachment on the top there to put lamps in, but you can also attach other things to it as well. So let's see what's in the box and how it's constructed, and of course does it actually work. So here's the thing in this printed box. And as you see on the front here, it's basically a display on the front there with the various parameters displayed, and it also has this socket on the top where you can put a lamp directly in there. But so it does have a socket for things as well. So inside the box then we have the instructions and warranty card and this sort of rather small hanging tag for whatever purpose. We have mains lead. That's got the UK plug on there. It's just the normal type of socket on the end. And we've got this white lead also, which has a sort of two flat bladed thing on, and then these rather strange type of connectors on there. A couple of these actual adapters here. There's one obviously for the screw fitting lamp, and so that's got the contact pins underneath. And then there's another one in the packaging here, and we seem to have two of the screw fitting ones for some reason, and we've also got the small screw fitting as well, so not quite sure why we've got two of those. They certainly look and probably are identical, but anyway, we'll look at those a bit later on. And of course the actual thing itself, and so the box there just with the packaging and a bit of foam to fix that in place. Now, so this came directly from China, and a fair amount of the text is in, of course, Chinese, but if you look on the end here, we can see the specifications that we've actually got, and as you can see, it measures various things. So you've got power, voltage, current, power factor, and then you can also, it's basically a calculation where it does the annual energy consumption based on a certain number of hours per day, and also the estimated annual cost, providing obviously you've got to put in the cost per unit, and also the total energy that's consumed. Now, the accuracy of this thing is claimed to be actually quite good, as you can see down the side here. So it's basically claiming to be a decently accurate device, so we'll be testing that later. And there's just some more writing on the front there, and you see it does have this socket here which is for the outlet, so you can connect other appliances as well as just putting the thing on the top, and that's the same basically in the Chinese writing. And on the side here, just a quick overview of the things that it actually does, but we'll be looking at that later anyway, so that's fine for now. So here is the actual unit itself. Now it's got a small unit here, and essentially it's just got the screen, 4 buttons on the side, and on the back here just got the mains inlet, on and off switch, and then this sort of multi type of socket here for connecting various appliances to. And the top piece here will actually should slide out, and then you can fit in one of the lamp fittings like that, so either the screw fitting one, or of course we've got the smaller screw fitting as well. Now, of course, this device is probably not designed for domestic purposes. Now, this socket does not comply with BS 1363, but it will accept a UK plug and plenty of others. And obviously, if you turn it on and the cover's missing, then there's a live part exposed here, but pretty obviously you're supposed to do it with the cover in place. So technically, that's not a good feature, and neither is that, but the fact is this was all shown when it was prior to it being purchased, so I knew perfectly well what kind of things it would actually be supplied with. So although, say, there may be some people who wish to complain and get all busted up over that, the fact of the matter is that that's what it comes with, and that's what it was shown as having. And of course, in theory, you could poke your finger in there and kill yourself as well, but let's face it, you have to be pretty stupid to go down that road. Now, the power lead it comes with, there was a choice of different leads, obviously depending on which country you happen to live in. Of course, we've chosen the UK variety, and this does actually look pretty decent. I mean, the cable is decent size there, and so see it's got the marking on it. Yeah, 3 by 3 core, and it's 0.75 square millimetre, and the actual covering looks to be a decent sort of size. The plug here, again, does have a fuse in it. It has the sleeved pins for the line and neutral, and the earth pin, of course, is not sleeved. So that looks reasonably promising. And say 13 amps, 250 volts. So unlike a lot of the ones that come from China, this looks to be a reasonable and decent actual cord. So it's a reasonably promising start. Now just have a quick look in here what fuse we've got. Because it has a fuse, of course there's no guarantee of what we've actually got in here. So okay, it's a 13 amp, but it's a certainly not the best quality in the world, but at least it's got one. It looks a bit small actually in dimensionality, and the printing is somewhat wonky, but nevertheless it does actually have one, which is more than can be said for a lot of plugs that come from China. As you've seen those sort of unfused things with the sleeved earth pin and all kinds of other unnecessary bother. So that's reasonable, but say it's the standard plug on the end anyway, so not a huge problem to change that if required. Let's say that looks okay. Warranty card, which is just basically the thing it's supposed to fill in, and then it's got this little certification thing, which is spelled incorrectly, but presumably who checked and tested it. Now we'll have a look at the instruction manual, because of course manuals from China do vary a lot in their quality. This looks reasonably well printed. It's in colour, and this is actually reasonably well done, and you've got the sort of picture of all the parts there, so we seem to have acquired an extra one of those for some reason, but anyway, it's just shown with the two sizes, so that's fine. And it's written reasonably well actually, so quite surprising, because as you've probably seen on many other products, the quality of the text in some of these is quite often way off, but this looks to be reasonably done actually, so that's someone's made a reasonable effort there. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but say it looks a decent job. Now this is the thing itself, and you've basically got your 4 buttons on the front here, and it's the display in the centre, little rubber feet on the bottom, and then on the back here it's basically power in here, has a drawer for a fuse there, and just the output socket here, or you can also use the lamp fixture on the top, and on and off switch. It does have a CE mark, and various other markings here in Chinese there. Now let's see what fuse we've got in this little drawer. Now what we've got here then is a glass fuse, and so it's any rating on that. Okay, it's a bit difficult to see, but it's actually a 10 amp 250 volt, so that seems reasonable, as this is rated up to 10 amps. Now of course in the UK that's not strictly necessary, because the plug of course has a fuse in it, but obviously other countries do not, so reasonable idea there. And that just say slots into the back like that. And in terms of opening this, it just looks like we've got the screws on either end, so just 4 there and 4 there, and it appears that the outer is there may be a join there, but it's probable that the whole outside is just one moulded piece, and then the insides just slide out. Now before taking this apart, just have a look inside. We will be turning it on, see if it actually does work and functions as intended, because this was purchased to actually use for something. Now, we just did check this power lead, and yes, there is continuity in all 3 cores, and the fuse in the plug is actually in the correct position, so it's actually in line with the line conductor. So it seems that the power cord we've got in this case is a decent example. So just plugged in there, so we'll just switch on, and there we go. So got the basic display on the front there. Now obviously there's no load connected, but we've got the mains voltage here, so what, 255, 256 at the moment. Now just running this through an isolating transformer, which is why the voltage is somewhat higher than usual, because the disadvantage with isolating transformers is if there's no load, the voltage tends to be a bit higher than it would normally be. So again, that's totally expected. And so we've got the other functions here. So essentially this is power in watts, obviously use the voltage, I for the current there in amps, power factor, and that's presumably the kilowatt hours per year that it would use if it was on for however many hours a day, 8 hours a day in this case. And then I believe the other one is actually going to be the actual energy cost based on the price that's put in, 68 pence per kilowatt hour. That seems a bit on the high side. And E, I believe that's the total it would use per year. And you've got a little time at the bottom here as well. So this is designed actually for lamps. So effectively it's saying that if the lamp was on for 8 hours a day and your electricity cost 68 pence per unit, then of course it would show the sort of total cost here and the energy usage over a year and so on. But so nothing connected at the moment, so of course it's all zeros. So if we press the set button, then we should have the menu. So we've got various languages here, a whole rack of different currencies, already on English and pounds, which is actually how it was supplied. So I'm assuming they'll set that based on the country it was going to. And then we've just got the hours per day it would be on for, the rate of or cost of the electricity, and they've got the time here and the sort of, I see real or how much it's in total or what it would be estimated over the entire year. So that seems entirely appropriate. Yeah, and then it's just up and down to move through the options and presumably set to pick the one you actually want. And back, yeah, we'll just go back to the previous display. Now, it came with this white lead, and the white lead's not actually shown in the instruction manual as being supplied with it, but presumably this is to go in the output socket here on the rear, and then it's got these two connectors which are both connected into the plug there, and presumably there's some lamp or other device which would fit into those for testing purposes. Not entirely sure what connector that would be, but presumably that's what that component is designed for. And then, so we've got the Edison screw type fittings here, the E14 and then the larger, I think E27 for that one. So you just fit that in the top. Then you can fit a lamp directly in there and show the power and whatever on the front. It doesn't come with any bayonets, but of course easy just to put an adapter in there. That's of course no problem. So I think we'll just get some kind of load on this and see what actually happens. Now here we've got a LED lamp placed in here, and this is one of these 8 watt, or claims to be 8 watt things, which I have shown in other videos before. So let's see what sort of power we've got here. There's actually a bayonet, but I'll just use an adapter there to convert to the screw fitting. So the lamp certainly lights up, and we do have readings on the display there. Now what I'll do is just cover the actual lamp, because otherwise the camera's going to have issues in actually showing the display. So I'll just cover that up with the box there. And so on the front here we've got 7.6 watts, which seems in the sort of right kind of area. So 256 volts again, and 0.059 amps. And allegedly, if this was on for 8 hours a day, it would use 22.2 kilowatt hours per year. And power factor on this is coming out as sort of 0.5 or just under 0.5 or 0.498, which is fairly poor, but it doesn't actually matter for domestic purposes, as dwellings are not actually metered on power factor. It's somewhat irrelevant in that case. So yeah, 7.5 watts, that seems to be certainly within the realms of what the lamp actually claims, so reasonably satisfied with that. Now, of course, we do need to look inside this device, so let's just remove these screws here and let's see what we can find inside. And so the device certainly works, so that's basically fine in terms of its intended purpose. But of course we'll see inside just to see how well it's made and indeed how it's actually been implemented. So I've got these 4 screws on the end here. These appear to go straight into the plastic, as in self-tapping, but not a real problem because it's obviously not really designed to be taken apart once it's been assembled. So okay, we can see a reasonable amount of stuff inside, and yes, we'll need to take off the other end as well. So both ends appear to be essentially identical, just the 4 screws holding those in position. And let's see how this comes apart. Right, so we've just got the front moulding there and the sort of bottom and rear moulding there, so that's fairly straightforward. So here's inside, and it looks to be decent quality actually, and we've got all of the connectors here with the actual shrink covering over all of them, so they're all fully insulated, and decent sized wiring as well. Bearing in mind this is actually rated up to 10 amps as it says on the back, so of course you'd need the decent size to carry that sort of current, and say all properly heat shrunk there, fairly neat and tidy. And this side, the socket, so just screw terminals there with the 2 wires just going in, and then we've got 2 thinner ones coming off, so basically it just goes straight up to the socket on the top here. So as expected, if that's plugged in, then these will actually be live, but of course you're supposed to use it with the appropriate thing in place. So yeah, that seems reasonable there. And what have we got in the way of earthing on this? Probably not a lot, because they don't tend to go for that in China very much. So just see what we can see there. Bearing in mind you've got your pin on the top there. Oh, it is actually connected through, surprisingly. Yeah, there is an earth connection there. It's actually this black one. Yeah, this black one here with the blue sleeving is actually the earth connection. So you've got that coming across, and that basically goes straight across to the earthing terminal of the socket there, which is also the top one. So yeah, the earth is actually connected through, so that's certainly a good start. And so the fuse is obviously in line with the line pin there. So yeah, it's a bit odd they've used black for the earth inside, but nevertheless it does actually have it connected. And you'll see that that side of it there, you've got that bar which comes down, goes to the little fuse carrier, and then goes across to the red wire here, which comes over to the switch, and looks to be a double pole switch, or at least it's got the 2 connected. It has a lamp inside. Now I'm not going to take the board out, because based on the side it's just going to be the actual display and the 4 buttons, so there's not much to see there, and I do actually want to use this device, so we're not going to be destroying it or anything. Just have a quick look on the circuit board here. So clearly this is our terminals either in and out. Got a little fuse there on the board as well. Presumably this is the power supply module here on a little separate board there, just fitted on the side there. And yeah, it looks all pretty neat and tidy there. There's a few parts here which are not installed, so presumably there's other models of this, and again that capacitor there, you've got some extra holes for presumably different sizes, but again that's fairly common. Now the chips in here, a bit difficult to see, so see if I can get a closer look on some of those, but essentially there's not a huge amount on here, but it's got this one large device here, little 8-pin thing there, and then there's another one just sort of hiding under the wires in there. So let's see if we can get a closer look at this and see if we can identify any of them. Now here's a closer look at the board here, and I see that chip there is actually marked Zori, which is the manufacturer of the device. And we've got the number there, ZR6634, so it's fairly likely that's going to be some sort of custom part, but I'll see if I can find anything that goes with that one. And we've got this little small chip here, and these are quite difficult to actually see because they're, at least they haven't scratched them off or anything, but the actual printing is only viewable from a particular angle, so certainly not easy to get the angle there. So there's the details of that one. And I see there's some large round component there which is not actually installed, so presumably a beeper or something, it's BZ1, so a buzzer or something for possibly a different model. And then we've just got that other one in the under those wires there, which could be a bit of a bother to actually see. Yeah, another gets another one marked with the manufacturer's name, so that's a ZR7677. So other than those actual chips, there's not a huge amount else in there. There's say various obviously resistors and capacitors in there, as you would expect. Some kind of header over the side there, presumably for programming or configuration or whatever. But yeah, it's not a huge amount else, so fairly minimal design. It's got a small device in the middle there, which that's an AMS 117, it says 3.3, so presumably that's a voltage regulator of 3.3 volts. So a crystal under the bottom there, and there's another one of those devices down there. Yeah, it's the same as before, so presumably another voltage regulator. And the power board here, which is presumably the actual supply for it, seems to be on this little separate board there. So again, that will be obviously the transformer there, a couple of capacitors, see if we can get the brand on those. So they are 105 degree rated according to the label. So YW may be the brand there, but anyway, not one that really comes to mind as any one that you've heard of. And the say little power supply board, it's obviously a separate unit. They presumably have just different ones that just plug in here for different input voltages, so that would make sense. So yeah, it's got a couple of metal oxide varistors on there, so and just a few other little bits and pieces at the bottom. Yes, don't see any active components on there, which is, oh, they're on the bottom, that's why. There we go. Look, there's obviously a couple of chips or whatever on the underside of that board. So, and as that's soldered in, we're not going to be removing that, or at least it's yeah, it looks to be soldered. It's either soldered or friction fitted, but anyway, we're not going to be taking off because so I do actually want to use this device rather than completely destroy the thing. So there's just another view of the entire board. So yeah, it looks to be decently well manufactured. So there's a bit of flux residue on the side there. Also the pins have been soldered in by hand, but so the rest of it's obviously looks to be machine assembled. There's a couple of little say bits of flux up the top there as well, but overall a fairly reasonable looking construction. And certainly the input wiring, obviously gone to a bit of trouble to insulate all of the connectors there and use decent size actual wiring. So the two here which come over to the lamp socket are somewhat thinner, but bearing in mind you're going to be putting a very small load in there anyhow, and of course you've only got that 10 amp fuse in the back anyway, so not desperately going to be a problem. I mean, that's going to be sort of 1mm size or something like that, so not a problem. Now what I've got here is the actual device here, and I've plugged a thing into the back of it, and it comes around to this extension block here, and then we've got one of these other sort of energy monitor things plugged in, and then from the front of that, it's got this lamp here with the that LED one that we saw previously. So it's not actually turned on at the moment. And if we look at the display here, we've got the basically the voltage on here. Unfortunately, the display on this is a bit crap, so you can't see it all that well. But basically, that's the voltage there. So it's saying what 256.5, and we've got sort of 255.8 over there. So certainly well within the quoted specification. And you'll notice on here, over here, we've actually got the power showing as 0.98 watts. Well, the power factor is 0.074 and a current of 0.052 amps. And basically, that's the neon indicator here on the extension bar, and no doubt a little bit to power the thing here itself. So if we unplug this, we should see that that falls a little bit. Yep, certainly does. So we're looking at sort of 0.23 watts for that, say just the neon indicator there, and the current's so small that basically not even registering on the device. But yeah, if we plug this thing in, we can see it's using sort of 2/3 of a watt or something just to power the electronics inside. So there we go. Now just move in a bit closer there, and if we turn on the lamp there which we had previously, so voltage wise then we've got sort of 257 257.1 there, and it's actually 256 on the other, so it's less than a volt difference. So I have no idea how accurate this is either, because this is a pretty old one, and see the display is somewhat faded and not very good. But we can check the settings on here. So that's showing current there of 0.07. Now the other one's showing 0.08, but bearing in mind we've got a certain amount of current used by both the Neon and this device as well, so again, not too surprising. Power there, we've got that's 09 and 17, so 09 is the, I believe that's watts. Unfortunately it's a bit difficult to see in that poor display, but 9 watts, and again over there 8.5, so that's fine. And the voltamps is 17, which now the other thing doesn't actually show voltamps, but it does show the power factor as 0.4, so again that's certainly within the same kind of realms. Frequency is basically 50 hertz or 49.9, and power factor is showing there as 0.5. Now of course that's not going to match with this one, because this is purely the power factor of the actual lamp there, and of course that power factor is the power factor of the electronics in here and that neon as well, so clearly going to be completely different. But so it's claiming 0.53 for the LED lamp there, so if I put the LED back in the top of here, we should see that hopefully it's in the realm of 0.5. So just put the lamp back in the socket on the top of the device, and sure enough power factor is 0.5, so again that seems entirely reasonable, and say power is obviously about 7.5, so this claims to be an 8 watt thing, so that's certainly again within the realms of possibility. So that's a look at the LPT200 lamp parameter tester, and this came from someone on AliExpress, which may or may not have been the manufacturer. They certainly have a similar name to the manufacturer, but it's always a bit difficult to tell with these Chinese companies whether they actually make it or whether they're just selling it. But in any case, it seems to be decently well made, and of course there are the minor issues there. Of course, if you remove the cover on the top and then put your fingers there, you're going to get an electric shock. But of course that's no different putting the lamp holder there and putting a finger in that. And yeah, this socket on the back here is one of these multi-purpose jobs that takes all types of plugs, or at least tries to. But nevertheless, again, this is a testing device. It's not something you're going to be using or giving to your children to play with, so not a particular issue. This bit on the back actually is separate, as we saw in the internal there, so if you wanted you could simply take that out and change it for some other kind of socket if you wanted. And there's only one minor problem with that, and if you get a UK plug, which of course is quite a large item, and you put it in there, it does fit, of course, but you see it actually overlaps the moulding of the inlet socket somewhat, so not ideal, but that's mainly only going to happen with the UK plug, because obviously it's just that large dimension, whereas most other countries have significantly smaller ones. But yeah, there we go, it's decently made, and this is not a particularly cheap item. I mean, this came from someone on AliExpress. Current price, including shipping to the UK, is about £60, or that's about $80 US. So obviously not the cheapest, you're not taking like $5 or something for the whole thing, but then if you pay that kind of price you would expect to get a load of old junk. But of course you pay a bit more, you generally get better items. And of course we can just remove the protective covering on the plastic there now, so there we go. So now I've got a nice shiny front to look at. So there we go, and this will be no doubt being showing up in videos in the future. But until next time, thanks for watching.